I've mentioned in previous videos and on my podcast that it took me 4 attempts to finally recover successfully. And the reasons why it took me 4 times are the same reasons why you are not recovering. So I want to give you some reasons why you keep repeating the same process over and over and why you can't recover. When I say 4 times, I mean I went a sustained period of time without any significant episodes. And I deluded myself into thinking that I was in real recovery, when really it was kind of like quasi-recovery. That doesn't include all of the times I said next week is going to change, next month is going to change, next year is going to change, and I went several days without any episodes. I'm not even including that. I'm only talking about those 4 periods where I did pretty well, but then the wheels came off. And there are reasons why that happened. And there's a reason why on that 4th attempt, I was successful. I didn't do too much too soon on that 4th attempt. I realized that I couldn't behave one way on one day and then completely change everything the next day. I didn't understand the concept of mini habits. I didn't understand the concept of gradual improvement, 1% change, 1% improvement. I didn't know any of that. I thought I could act one way and then one day unilaterally declare my recovery and say, okay, I'm going to be completely different from now on. I had no understanding of the brain, had no understanding of habits. I didn't know how the brain changes. You can't just declare it. I guess in extreme circumstances, you could change everything in one day, but that's typically not how the brain works. And you know that by now. The brain doesn't like to be shocked. It doesn't like shock therapy. It likes to be nudged a little bit. It likes to be pushed in this one direction. And when I kept promising to overhaul my entire life in one day, nothing ever happened. And I ended up just delaying the process because it was creating this warning signal in my brain that everything was going to change in one day. I was not going to have these pleasures anymore. And your brain doesn't like to do that. When your brain gets used to a certain pleasure in life, when it gets used to a certain habit, it wants to keep it. And when you start sending signals like, I'm going to take this away, it puts up a fight. That's why I'm such a big fan now of gradual improvement, like 1% change. What's the one thing you can change today? How can you be a little bit better? You might not think that approach works. You might think, well, I have to change everything, otherwise I won't do anything. Well, I don't believe that. I don't think anybody is that black and white. You don't want to go from one extreme to the other. That's why I'm not a big fan of like all-in approaches, as sexy as that might sound. It makes for a great vlog series, but that's not real life. Real life is a lot more gradual, and you see that in nature too. There was this great quote, I think it was C.S. Lewis, maybe it was Mark Twain, I don't know, one of those great English writers. When the day is over, you don't notice a lot of change, but when you look back over the past 10 years, everything has changed. And that's how life is. It's very gradual. It changes, and when you look at it every day, nothing seems to change. But then you look at a large period of time and everything changes. Now let's go to the other end here. It was declaring victory too soon. I thought I was recovered, but I really wasn't. I hadn't put myself through enough stressful periods. I hadn't really recovered. I just had like the perfect set of circumstances and the right environment, and it gave me this illusion that I had done the work, but that wasn't the case. And I remember getting to like month 5, month 6 without any serious episodes. There were times when I overate, a few times when I didn't really need to eat, but I'm not counting those. I'm talking about serious episodes of binging and or purging. And I got to like month 6, month 7, I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I had 1 episode, and then that turned into 3, and that turned into 5, and then the habit came back again. Don't underestimate how easy it is to restart this habit. It doesn't take a lot, it only takes a few episodes, and it only takes a few excuses or reasons in your head. And the next thing you know, you're saying, okay, well, I'll get back on track in 2 weeks, in 2 months, or 3 months, or whatever. And you keep telling yourself that you're going to get back on track again. Well, a day can easily turn into a week, which can easily turn into a month, which can easily turn into a quarter. You need to have that plan in place. What happens when you go an extended period of time without any episodes and then it comes back? But on that fourth attempt, I did. I was much more on guard. I knew myself. I knew what my weaknesses were. I knew that I had gone 6 or 7 months in the past without any episodes, and then the behavior came back. So when I got to month 7 on that fourth attempt, I said, okay, this is usually when it comes back. I need to be really diligent and I need to be on guard. 3 is lack of vision. Like, my vision was, I just want to stop binging so I can lose weight, which is okay. That's one reason to, but I needed to have other reasons as well. I wanted to reestablish control over my life. I realized how much it was costing me time, money, focus. It was affecting my self-esteem. It was affecting my career, my professional life, my performance in school. It was affecting everything. So when I went beyond just the superficial, like, oh, I just want to like lose weight and be fit again, which is fine. I mean, that can be one reason, but I don't think that can be the only reason. I had not taken the time to really establish a vision for myself. And not only that, but I didn't write my goals every day. I didn't think about my goals every day. I just wrote it down once and then I forgot about it. And one thing I know about goals and vision is that you have to keep reminding yourself of what that vision is. Vision is going to be a lot more powerful than willpower. When you're in those challenging moments, in those challenging times, you need to have that vision. You need to know exactly what that is. And you need to make that vision part of yourself. So don't just sit down one time and establish what your goal is and forget about it. This needs to be something that you repeat every single day. It doesn't take that much time. You can create a vision board, you can write down what your goals are, but what's really important is that you connect with that vision in the moment. Like, do I want this now or do I want something better later? And that's something that's really challenging. I had no plan for the hard times. Like, when things were not ideal, when my environment was not ideal, what was I going to do? One of my favorite mantras is do hard things when they're easy. So create that plan when it's easy. Create that plan now. Don't wait until the rainy day. Don't wait to fix the roof when it rains. That's what I'm saying. You need to think ahead. You need to be proactive, not reactive. And that ideal environment that I had kind of gave me this false illusion that things were okay when they really weren't. And when I look back, I can see the signs that I was not truly recovered. There are certain tests that I had not passed. So create that plan now. Imagine the worst case scenario. What would you do in that scenario? And you need to think about this in life too. Car breaks down, what do I do? Again, plan ahead. Plan for these exigencies before they happen. And here's the thing, what you prepare for never happens. So if you prepare to have episodes 6 or 7 months into your recovery process, it never happens. It's when you don't prepare, that's when it happens. Isn't that what Murphy's Law is? If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Well, let me modify that a little bit. If something can go wrong and you don't prepare for it, then it will go wrong. But if you prepare for it, it won't go wrong. Another thing I didn't do on those first 3 attempts is I didn't really recalibrate my hunger cues. I didn't really learn to eat when I was hungry. I didn't learn to stop when I no longer needed it. It's so simple, right? Like, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, which is kind of simplistic. And that's oversimplifying things a little bit. But if you followed that basic rule 90% of the time, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But one thing I didn't do those first 3 times is I didn't really listen to my hunger. I just had a lot of structure in place and I had a specific calorie goal in place, but I wasn't really listening to my hunger. There were many times when I ate when I didn't really need to. And there were times when I needed to eat and I didn't eat. I didn't use those 6 or 7 months to recalibrate things. And then when things changed in my life, boom, I had not done the real work. I had relied on a specific set of circumstances to do the work for me. Once those circumstances went away, everything fell apart. If you do anything in your recovery process, I mean, vision is important too, having reasons to change. But one thing you really need to do is connect physical hunger with your behavior. But one thing that's really important is eating when you are truly hungry. This is one reason I am a fan of intermittent fasting, because it does expose you to those feelings of hunger. It makes you only eat when you are truly hungry. And you'd be surprised how many times we eat, but not when we're hungry. If you can practice that every day, just I'm only going to eat because I am truly hungry, you're going to see really good results, and you're going to solidify that recovery. Another thing that I did those first 3 times that gave me the illusion of recovery was I just cut out a lot of foods, which is good. I'm glad I did that. It certainly helped me. It helped me take a break. But that's not the entire solution. I don't think avoiding all of these foods all the time is the only solution, because what happens when they come back into your life, for whatever reasons? Or what happens when you give yourself permission to eat those foods and you haven't done the real work, like recalibrating your hunger cues, like establishing that vision? What happens when the environment changes and now you have cravings for those foods again and you don't know how to properly consume them? My point is this: you should come to a point where you can be exposed to any food and not have this compulsion to binge on it. These days, I could have Cliff Bars and chocolate and ice cream whenever I want. I don't have it very often. I could have it in my home if I wanted to. I don't think I would eat it, but I wouldn't have this compulsion to consume all of it. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances are in my life. That's the other thing. That's how I know I'm truly recovered now, is that anything can change in my life. I could be exposed to any food. I could consume any food, and I still would not do it. I would not cross the line. I would not give myself permission to binge on it. I would not give myself permission to harm myself. And that's where you need to get to. You need to get to a place where no reason, no excuse can make you do what you don't want to do. Even if you are exposed to former binge foods or fear foods or whatever. Even if everything in your life is falling apart, you still would not give yourself permission to do it. That to me is a solid recovery. The first 3 attempts, that was not the case. I just avoided foods for a certain period of time, and I had specific circumstances, and that helped a lot. But then when I was tested, I failed. I didn't pass that test. Why? For all the reasons that I just explained. That's not to say that abstinence is not a good long-term solution. I don't eat a lot of my binge foods anymore. Okay? I don't feel like I need to have them in my life. They don't serve a purpose anymore. Could I have them? Absolutely. Could I have them in reasonable quantities? Absolutely. Moderation, abstinence, those are both good long-term strategies. But don't think that just because you haven't had a certain binge food for a certain period of time, that you are actually recovering. Without the vision, without the reasons for changing, without the recalibration of your hunger, you're probably not going to see long-term results. If you only behave correctly, if you're not exposed to certain foods, if you only eat this regimented diet, can you call that recovery? I don't think so. Finally, I was way too focused on weight the first 3 attempts. Too focused. I think that was one of the primary motivations, was weight loss, which is fine. Can't be the only one, but I was too focused on that. Like daily weigh-ins and constantly measuring myself and body checking, and I didn't need to do that. What I needed to do was just focus on recalibration of hunger, eating a consistent diet, removing those binge foods, not forever, but a sustained period of time, eating when I was truly hungry, not eating when I wasn't, not eating to escape some circumstance or to escape some emotion that I didn't want to feel, not eating for stimulation. Those were habits that took a long time to establish, but they paid off. And when I got to month 6, 7, 8, on my 4th attempt, those episodes didn't come back. And it didn't matter what happened in the outside world. External circumstances didn't matter anymore. And when I had the opportunities to eat those former binge foods, it wasn't a problem. So do the hard work now, even if it means slowing down your weight loss, or it means having episodes early in the process. Do the hard work now, it will pay dividends in the future. And just because you still have episodes doesn't mean you're not in that recovery process. You should see some improvement in terms of intensity, frequency, habits, self-control. But just because you're having episodes doesn't mean you're not in recovery. Don't confuse recovery for perfection. The two are not the same. If you have to sacrifice progress now to solidify your recovery later, that's a really good trade-off. So those are some reasons why you might not be recovering. What are some other reasons? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video educational and entertaining, then check out one of the other videos that you see on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.